Yo, what's going on, guys? It's Ceice here, and today I'm bringing you guys another video going over how to place and how to qualify for these upcoming FNCS tournaments. If you guys like these type of videos, be sure to drop a like, subscribe if you're new. Let's get right into it. Okay, so starting off at the top, you have opens. In opens, the play style is going to be to W key your game one, play every single game out placement, and get those free kills on edge. I would say that you don't really have to key in these opens, but if you're out of POI and you know the people are on the edge off of a bounty system, or just based off of you seeing them glide through the sky, then definitely take that free opportunity to get those kills on edge, because kills are going to matter to qualify through the opens. It shouldn't necessarily be too hard and too W key, but at the same time, if you don't normally have a good first game, you're going to want to make sure you get a couple kills every single game before going into mid game to make sure that you're in line to get enough points to put you on pace to qualify. All right, so going on to the next thing that's in opens is your drop spots, and if you change your drop spots based off of each game. So basically, I mean, like I said, it's cash cup format. So game one, you're going to want to go to a high contested POI, lazy, tilted. You can even go to like some edge spots. There's most normally always players landing at pretty much any POI in the first game of opens to get you that easy off spawn in the big kill game, game one. So past that, once you get that good game one, you're going to want to make sure you land at a spot where you know you can get those edge kills easily. Like I talked about, you're going to want to make sure you land at a spot like Sweaty, where you're able to clean up the castle team, or you're able to go from Sweaty to Holly, or you're able to land Pleasant and go clean up Stealthy. POIs like that are not super edge, but also central enough to make sure that you're not necessarily getting yourself too out of position, because the common thing that happens in opens is the lobbies do die, and it's really easy to get lobby focused in these opens. So like I said, you want to try to gauge your game based off of if it's stacked going into the first few minutes, and you can kind of tell that if the game's going to have 67 players alive before first zone even starts, that's going to probably be a pretty stacked game, and you're probably in high points. But yeah, like I said, it's pretty much similar to cash cups. You're going to want to take that W key game at around 15 to 20 minutes, and if you need to play that game out and play it smart. I know opens can definitely be a pain for a lot of people, and I even have struggled with opens in the past. It's definitely very scary. I think the one tip that I would want to give you guys in opens is to be careful with your positioning and make sure that you're not going too center where you're going to get keyed, because these teams you can't really control. There's random players in every lobby, and it's just a mess, and it can be very messy if you have a lot of off spawn deaths as well. So the two things to note there is be confident in your drop, have a good off spawn, so you don't lose off spawn fights. Practice your drop, be prepared, and then be in spots that aren't going to be necessarily the hot spot where people are going to want to key. So maybe hide in a building or hide in a bush. Just like, you don't have to necessarily play the game like a scrim game. It's an opens, right? So it's like you're not necessarily going against the greatest players. So yeah, to sum it up, you're going to want to get a high kill game one, and then play the other games out by getting a couple kills on edge, and then also make sure that you're not in a too center position or in a too hot side position. You don't want to get keyed, and you don't want to waste games by getting killed by a team that's trying to key. So yeah, it's opens. It's a hard thing to get through, and I think, yeah, you just got to get through those off spawn fights and make sure you survive the mid games. That's literally that's all it is in opens. Okay, so moving on to semifinals. Right at the top, you're not necessarily going to want to have a big game one like you did in opens. You're going to want to play consistent, and most game ones of semifinals all have storm surge. That's something to look out for. Make sure you have that surge, and if you have that route similar to that you had in opens, you can basically reuse it in semifinals, right? If you have a bounty and a team near you is not so great, you can literally get that bounty and go key them and have surge for the whole game. So it's like having those early kills and having those like easy mid game cleanups in semifinals are going to be huge. You'll see a lot of the top teams always going to end game in semifinals with some type of kills, even if it's just one. So especially in semifinals, with the queues being so long, you want to make sure that you have some type of kills or something, so you're not wasting a game and not wasting time. Because yeah, like I said, the queue times are very long, and that's semifinals in a nutshell. If you have a bad game or a wasted game, it's going to put you back, and you're going to have to catch up. Something to also note in semifinals is that the players are not necessarily the greatest, right? So it's like, yeah, it might be semifinals, but you got to remember that these teams aren't all top teams, and you can use the bounty system to your advantage. And if you know that you're better than the team on the bounty, then go ahead and I say take the push as long as it's right. But other than that, you're going to want to focus mostly on end game in semifinals. And like I said, storm surge is only going to be a game one thing. I'd say it's only the game one and the end game. You're not really going to have that big game one to drag you all the way across and boost your points. So playing in game and making sure that you have kills before you go into game is very important. As well as Surge. Surge, like I said, is going to be really big in game 1, and then it's going to be big in the last game or like some of the later queues when everyone's trying to get as many placement points as possible. So I think the biggest thing to note in semifinals is make those middle games count. Although they are typically the hardest games, you do not want to have a wasted middle game. Like by a middle game, I mean like an hour in, when you're at 60 points, you don't want to get 10 points in the next hour. You want to make sure you're staying on a consistent pace, and if you're not, figure out why in that moment and change it. If you're not getting enough kills, make sure you get enough kills, or if you're not putting yourself in the right position, focus more on positioning. Kind of need to make sure that second hour is very, very important, and if you don't have a good second hour, then you're gonna have to really catch up in the last hour. Okay, and lastly, we have finals. So finals is obviously something that I'm sure a lot of you guys are familiar with. It's just like customs, 100 players in the lobby. Very simple, right? Top 33. So in finals, something that I want to give my advice on is Storm Surge Game 1, right? Storm Surge Game 1, everyone knows that's the most stacked game of every tournament, right? Game 1, Game 2, kind of, but I definitely say Game 1 is more stacked. So Game 1s, you're going to want to make sure overall Storm Surge is going to be a problem the whole time, right? If you're not staying ahead of it, if you're not always focusing on it, it's going to be a problem. So Storm Surge, Storm Surge, Storm Surge. Make sure that you're focused on it the whole time. You cannot let up at all on it. You need to be looking for those tags nonstop. But in a game 1, right, that's definitely like I said, that's the most stacked game. So game 1, you're going to want to make sure that you are ready for Surge and that you've looted your POI in a faster fashion. So if you're landing, let's just say if you're landing Sweaty, for example, right, in grand finals, you need to be looting probably half the POI, or you need to be speed looting it in the sense that you're going through it really quickly and you're not slowing down, getting every ammo box and every floor spawn. Just grab the chest spawns, grab your mats, and get going. You need to get in a position that you know you can get Surge, and that's, like I said, it's the most important thing in Fortnite finals. Get your loot, get out, go, and get that positioning to get your Surge on people rotating by that are not doing what you're doing. Because there are going to be players that are going to be lacking and that are going to be slow on POIs. People that have off spawn kills that are contested, you can get Surge on them. It's very simple. And then another thing that I want to kind of touch on, that is not necessarily the greatest idea. I don't think it's going to get you in trouble, but I think that in game 1s, don't be scared to necessarily like bloom fight or take those Surge trades, I guess you could say. So it's like, obviously you're going to need Surge. Every team needs Surge. So it's like take that snipe shot to the head, right? If you take a snipe shot to the head and you're on elevation and you're in a good spot and it's like not necessarily like a really close team, right? You don't want to get pushed, obviously, but like, don't be scared to get headshot sniped while you're peeking for tags, I'd say. As long as you have good heals to last you. It's very important that you get those tags, because without those tags, you're dead in the first 7 minutes, You're dead to Surge. If you don't peek and you're scared to peek of getting headshot sniped, there's no point in playing the game. Like, you're going to die to Surge later on if you don't get those tags. So, that's that. And then on the topic of getting headshot sniped, obviously you need to run snipers in game 1. That's very, very important. Having snipers for Surge. I like personally to run 2 snipers. But yeah, I mean, obviously you can't W key. That's a pretty common thing, right? You have to play in game. Just to touch on that a little bit. When you're going into in game of the grand finals, you want to make sure that you have the positioning on Surge before you leave. You don't want to necessarily leave zone too early to grab a center position or to grab a hill that's open if you don't have Surge, right? Just like I said earlier, Surge is the most important thing. I cannot stress this enough. Storm Surge will get you killed and will throw games. You do not want to have a game thrown to Storm Surge, please. If anything, have your game thrown to having to fight for Surge, or have your game thrown to not being in the greatest position, but you had Surge. Like, it's a hard balance, I'd say, and there is a balance in between both of those, but in general, it's just basically getting that Surge, and you can still, if you're a smart player, you can still recover and put your team in the right position to play in games. And last thing I want to touch on here is drop spots. So drop spots is the most important thing, or the second most important thing to Storm Surge in finals. If you have a drop spot uncontested, you're likely to place in the top 5 if you do well. If you're contested, it kind of goes 50-50. You could wipe the team every time, but you could also get your game thrown, or you could get cleaned up. Anything can happen. So you want to be uncontested. And I'd say to the people that don't have a drop spot necessarily like alpha'd up or like claimed, you wanna try your best to be prepared going into the finals and have like a drop spot map organized and have a route organized if you're uncontested. And when you're contested, have a game plan. Don't go into it so blind. Personally, for me, I mean, obviously this goes with having a game plan, but I personally like to have call outs for each position on the map, or in the POI rather. So it's like, if you're landing Pleasant, very simple, obviously, you know, yellow house, gray house, dog house, brick, whatever. It's like having those call outs, and then and you know, and even more advanced POIs like coral or stealthy or wherever, right? Those little spots that might be places of interest for players to be at and land at are very important to have named. It'll keep your team a lot more organized. So having best drop, having that drop map, being prepared, like I said, it's the most important thing when going into grand finals, second to Storm Surge, I suppose, because you want to win that off spawn, right? But past that, or you want to have it uncontested, but past that, obviously Storm Surge is going to be your next big enemy. So that's grand finals for you. Let me know if I missed anything, or let me know if you guys have any questions in the comments below. I'm more than welcome to help you guys out. And also let me know what other topics you guys want me to cover. I want to make sure that you guys are improving and getting better, and I'm here to make you the best player possible. So thank you guys for watching. Hope you guys have a great day, and I'll see you guys later.